It doesn't do anything, so it's not gonna make it.
Okay, this time we'll call the meeting to order and we'll have the pledge of allegiance. Mick, would you like to lead us?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have a roll call.
Yes. Okay, Supervisor Bassard?
Here.
Clerk Wright, here. Treasurer Kowalski?
Here.
Trustee Woods?
Here.
All here and accounted for.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move on to audience comments on agenda items this time.
Do we need the
Jim?
approval of agenda?
It's not on the thing here, is it?
Yeah, so first we gotta do approval of agenda and
Just
then
do
we'll
it.
get, yeah.
Okay, yep. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Is
I'll make motion to approve the agenda.
there a second? I'll second it.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Agenda's been approved. Okay, at this time, we'll open it up to audience comments.
Thank you.
1 second.
April 13th, what brought us to this date? Is this the new supervisor?
Maybe.
February 17th, unfortunately, the supervisor submitted his resignation. And it was not accepted at the February meeting. It was also not accepted to the, at the March meeting, it was denied. Today is the 13th, and according to the law, anybody that's appointed to any position on the board has to have a runoff election in November. Anybody appointed tomorrow or after, they're in for 2.5 years. So they can run for or they can stay in the office for 2.5 years. So by not accepting the resignation, you're putting the time off so that you can appoint somebody after that point, and then that person can serve for 2.5 years.
Point of order. What,
Well, this is audience.
agenda, is this agenda item?
This is about the agenda. This is about the
I
agenda.
don't know which agenda item.
It's about the entire agenda and why the agenda is the way it is. It doesn't have the supervisor.
Agenda items, is that point of
Well,
order?
that's up to the
Point of
supervisor.
order, point of order,
Okay, just let him keep going.
point of order.
We can.
What's your
point?
Glenn, come
Okay.
on.
Point of
Okay,
order.
all right.
We can do it later.
Point of
Okay.
order. We have 2 agenda items.
Yes, we have two
It's the
agenda items.
supervisor.
And I've been laxed on it. I was laxed on it with you when you were in the audience. And so, I've been laxed, and I think this does pertain to the agenda.
When the supervisor is appointed, the supervisor will be in office for 2.5 years without being voted on. Today, if they were appointed today, there would be a runoff election in November. There won't be. Whoever they appoint, whether it's Glenn or someone else, whoever they appoint will be the supervisor for 2.5 years. They scheduled the meeting for today for that purpose, so that they didn't have to appoint somebody today. Dave put in his resignation February 17th, and it could have been accepted at any of the 2 meetings that have been held since then, or a special meeting. And Dave can't do it by himself. He can't call a meeting by himself because he doesn't have the majority. The majority are going to outvote him. There has to be a majority of the board in order for there to be a special meeting. So there's nothing Dave could have done about it. The law says that a resignation is only acceptable when it is accepted by the board. It's not accepted when it's turned in. The board has to accept it. So we have a position now where there was Yes, where there was a clerk position come open, the trustee that was there who gets $3,700 a year for the trustee position is now in a position that pays $35,000 a year. The next trustee, the next supervisor will make $20,000 a year. Whoever it is that they appoint will make $20,000 a year. All of these dates are not a coincidence. They haven't been, it's been set up like this so that they can keep us from voting on who's going to be the supervisor. What would have been, in November of 2024, we had 3 new people go on the ballot saying integrity and transparency and none of that mega mess bullshit. We're gonna get all, we're not gonna do any of that stuff. And now here we are, and this would be very telling on who the supervisor becomes. This is, I don't even know why it's not illegal. How can you accept Jeff Albaugh's resignation, but not David's? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how that's legal. But this whole thing has been set up so that 3 people could come on board, take over the board, and now there's just nothing anybody can do. We can't vote because we can't vote for another 2.5 years. I don't think most people know this. I know that all of you know this, though. And integrity, transparency, yeah, I don't think so.
Could you tell me who you are?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't do that, did I?
No.
James Berry, 306 Marshall Street, Ceresco. Thank you.
All right, is there another? Dwayne?
Yep. And then Joanna also at some point has her
Oh,
hand
okay.
raised.
Hi, Joanna.
Dwayne Sly, Marshall Township. On the agenda items, one is the trustee position, and I know that there are 2 applicants from the PC, and I would just say that if one of those was to be appointed, it would put an opening on the PC, but I would encourage all of you not to figure that into your decision. If you appoint one of those, it's not going to be an issue. So don't let that influence your decision by thinking one of those is going to create an issue, because it won't. The second is the contract for the zoning administrator. I would encourage the board to accept that contract. The applicant is more than qualified and has done an excellent job for us, and I would encourage you to ratify this contract and let us get on down the road in a way we should have been able to a year and a half ago. Thank you.
Is there? Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Sure.
Here.
Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Green Street over in Marshall. I couldn't help but see that there was a Monday night available and you guys were having a meeting, so I didn't want to miss the opportunity to come over and throw some 2 cents out. Considering the choice of candidates, for one thing, Joanna Johnson is a very capable candidate, but there's the problem of interlocking directorates. She's pretty much on every other board that's going on. That might be problematic, although she's certainly qualified to do that. But it seems like the current turbulence, political turbulence over in the county here, is a result of the former regime not being responsive to the voices of the people. And as as what's supposed to happen in this country, when that kind of thing happens. The people need to act, and they did, and it's kind of flipped to the other side of the fence now. But I think those kind of voices need to be heard, not the ones who are just strict rubber stampers of whatever a corporate interest is, that's backed up by big money. Things are still up in the air with the dispensation of the mega site. The committee's case has gone back up to the Michigan Supreme Court with no real substantive modification in the decision from the Court of Appeals. So maybe the strategy here is to just keep kicking the can down the road and using whatever procedural dilatory device to allow the thing to get built, and then everybody will finally throw up their hands and say, well, they got away with it. But things are still completely up in the air, and I hope the new trustee is aware that it's not just a done deal, and we have to give in. There's still a considerable amount of opposition. I'm down at the fountain there pretty much every Wednesday and Saturday, and it's actually a good place to see the general tone of the local community about both the issues of the Blue Oval and now this new data center stuff that's being thrown in. And I think the data center thing is really put people in town over the top. We're getting a lot of strong supportive messages. And we were just out to Stewart Lake today handing out invitations, which I will talk about in the next period. But in considering whatever trustee you happen to choose, and however you try to resolve your zoning administrator issue, keep in mind that these should be people who are cognizant of what the very strong underlying tone of the people's understanding of the issues, these big money corporate welfare issues that have been thrown upon the county, over the past 5 years. And need to take a strong stand to preserve what the real wealth of this county is, and it's in its high quality productive farmland and natural habitat. So you're
5 minutes. Is that?
okay. I managed to fill it up. All right.
Joanna, would you like to speak?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, Joanna Johnson, Marshall Township resident. And I just wanted to say that on the agenda is the item for the zoning administrator employment agreement. And I'm really excited to see this on the agenda, and I hope the board supports it. As already mentioned by our Planning Commission Vice Chair, we have an excellent candidate. This is an excellent opportunity for the township, and I just encourage the board support the employment agreement on the agenda today. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else? And then we'll move on to our special order of business. Number 1 is the consideration of candidates to be appointed as township trustee. We're going to give each one that's here a chance to state why they would like to be on the township board. And because there's only 4 of us here, there's 3 votes are required to approve a candidate. So,
Go with Joanna first, and she's.
yeah, we can let her go first.
Okay. Again, Joanna Johnson, Marshall Township resident, and currently serving as your Planning Commission Chair. Just a couple, I want to open up by saying, first of all, it's a great problem to have, the level of interest in this position. So I just wanted to do a shout out to all the candidates. There's some great folks and that came out from the community, and I just think that's a great problem to have. So thank you to all the candidates. So first of all, I previously applied for the township trustee position, and that, of course, at that time as well was for an appointment in 2021. Prior to being asked to serve on the Marshall Township Planning Commission by the township supervisor. So thanks, Dave. You gave me the opportunity, not being selected as the planning, or excuse me, as the township trustee, but it gave me an opportunity for you to call me and say, hey, are you interested in the opening that became vacant due to that appointment? So I appreciate Dave reaching out to me at that time, and it's been just really a great opportunity. I've really enjoyed it. So again, I'm seeking the opportunity as someone who really cares deeply about Marshall Township. I believe in the value of public service and service to our residents. It's just who I am. And frankly, my career, I think, will help support that. My experience working with township government, my service on multiple boards, I know Barry just mentioned that. Hopefully that's a positive. And my professional background have prepared me to understand the importance of being an engaged, responsible, and well-informed participant on all of those. I do my homework, I am prepared, and I ask questions to ensure a full understanding. I certainly recognize the distinction between board governance and day-to-day operations. I do understand the importance of collaboration, transparency, and constructive dialogue. That, of course, means you have folks with differing opinions, and sometimes difficult decisions have to be made. So sometimes just always saying yes doesn't mean that, again, you can encourage the fact that sometimes a no vote doesn't mean that we can't all work together or that you don't have the best interest of the township residents at heart. Since 2021, I know this has been mentioned a few times, I have served on the Marshall Township PC, currently serving as chair. I've also served on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I'm currently chair of the Joint Planning Commission. I take these responsibilities seriously. I've made very difficult decisions when necessary, even when they are not the most popular. I've supported the township initiatives, including the website, the mass notification system, filing organization efforts. And of course, these are with others. I mean, it's not me doing that, it's supporting those efforts. And I make every effort to attend meetings and to stay informed. Should I be selected for this position, and of course, I'm also interested in the township supervisor position, I am fully 100% committed to ensuring a smooth transition and addressing any vacancies created by my current township roles. I also want to emphasize that applicants who are already serving the township in some capacity bring valuable insight and continuity. I think it means something, you guys. I think serving in some of the other capacity for the township, and I know that's not just me. I think I have my peer, Christina Markunis, who is also interested from the Planning Commission. I really think this means something. I really do, to have these folks interested in serving in another capacity for the township. And again, I think it's also a great foundation for succession planning. So I hope that these understanding that the transitions are not negative, but certainly a positive aspect for the township. So I guess the last thing I'll just say, and I just want to say that I am honored to serve Marshall Township in my current role, but certainly honored to serve Marshall Township with integrity, diligence, and respect for the roles of either trustee. And again, I know the township supervisor is not on the conversation today, which I understand, but I'm prepared to serve along each side of you, and I'm honored. And again, I just appreciate the opportunity. So thank you for the consideration.
Anybody have any questions for her?
Is that for the audience or no?
No, this is the board. I'll ask a question real quick. James, just keep it on Joanna for right now. You mentioned, and it came up in the discussion today about vacancies because you are highly involved in a lot of different things. And so just because that concern also came out, do you mind talking a little bit? I know you talked about the value of having the perspective in those, but like, what do you see as a potential to, because you're the chair of the planning commission, you're the chair of the joint planning commission, you're on the zoning board of appeals. So, you know, we love your expertise, but we also realize it leaves a hole. So if you could just help expand of like, you know, what that transition could look like. And, you know, obviously you're one person and you don't make those decisions, but how you view that concern.
Well, certainly I'm a planner, and I've thought about that. So first and foremost, one of the things that could help the planning commission for any of the vacated roles, frankly, if there are ever vacated roles, which has happened before, this is nothing new. Having a zoning administrator, which is one of the items that's on your agenda, is going to help the planning commission immensely, first and foremost, right? That is going to pick up a big hole in some of the functions that myself and the vice chair have been doing. You know, I think you guys have heard this already a million times, but for the last year and a half. So having a zoning administrator is going to help the planning commission a lot. Also, I think continuing to have a way to reach out continuously for township residents who are interested in serving on boards, having something on our website, continuous outreach in that area is a key position that I think needs to take place. I think we need to have something where there's continuous outreach. There's library board that I didn't realize. There are many, many openings that are out there so that we can have a funnel from the residents. So it has to be ongoing all the time. And just like I was chosen, frankly, to serve on the planning commission when I did not was not appointed as a township trustee, there's also opportunity potentially if those candidates that aren't chosen now for a trustee might be willing to fulfill some of those other roles, whether it be on the planning commission. So there's opportunity there. This is nothing new. But once again, it's not going to stop business. It's not going to stop public service, especially if we have a zoning administrator with the character and the excellent background that our current candidate has. So I think that's going to help, you know, fill those gaps that are out there. At the end of the day, as already mentioned, is I'm one person and the board's going to help make those decisions to fill those positions. Now let's talk about the Joint Planning Commission, because I think this is one that's out there and very, very important, right? So first of all, the elections will take place again on the Joint Planning Commission in August, per the Joint Planning Commission bylaws. If there is any concern that if I were to be chosen, that the Joint Planning Commission that we work so hard at to have a township representative be chair, that it would potentially overturn to the city, that is not the case. The Joint Planning Commission currently, based on its bylaws, will continue to have a township representative serve as the chair, assuming that there's someone who's interested, until which time, and potentially that could happen again for the August elections. So I just want to formulate that that is not a risk in place, that the township would continue to serve in that leadership role at the Joint Planning Commission until which time a vote is cast. So right now, the alternate for the Joint Planning Commission is our current secretary on the Planning Commission, and that's Christina Markunis. So that would be something that would have to be, you know, worked out as to what interest there is. And if there's not an interest in that, you know, position being held, the chair, by one of those township members, the planning commission can revisit that as well. So again, I think that concern will work itself out related to who on the planning commission would be interested to serve as one of the three members on the Joint Planning Commission and ultimately serve as chair. As far as the Zoning Board of Appeals, frankly, we need another member on the Zoning Board of Appeals, folks. We really do. This goes back to having a funnel of interest on that's continuous for the township, and not just when, there's a vacancy. And I don't know, frankly, I thought I could potentially still serve on the zoning board of appeals if I was a trustee, so that may not be an issue there. It's just trying to fill that third vacancy. I think I covered them all.
You
I don't know if
did.
there's further questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question?
Yep.
Glenn does.
Joanna, this is Glenn. So you've applied for 2 roles, trustee and supervisor. Which one would you prefer to have?
I would prefer to be the next township supervisor.
All right. Does anybody else have anything?
Can I get a comment? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I also want to make mention that I am fully prepared as well, though, to be on the ballot for the primary and the general election in November or August, I'm sorry, in November. So I have completed that paperwork as well because I am committed to this township one way or another. Should I be honored to be elected as well? So I just wanted to make sure the board understands and knows that I'm taking this very serious as I do anything that I have before me. So I just want you to know that I'm committed in that resolve as well.
Back.
Oh, it's still recording.
It's still recording. Okay. Okay.
We're back, Joanna.
Did you hear that part or no? I'm sorry. You guys froze up on me.
No,
We lost the internet for a half second. So.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you. I just wanted to say that I wanted to make sure that the board knows that I am fully committed to the township and also being part of the candidate filing for being on the ballot for the primary and the general or the November election as well. So if I'm honored to be elected. I just want to show that I am fully committed to this township one way or another. That my preference would be township supervisor, but I want to continue to serve in the leadership role and to work alongside all of you as well. So that's it.
And I will just say, Joanna, because she's out of town, she had to fill out her candidate filing to be on the ballot already. And I mean, there's always the case that she can withdraw that. But it has been approved, and I'll be emailing that to you as well. So the county elections office has already approved that, but I just wanted to let you know as well.
Thank you.
All right. Christina, what do you want to, and then I'll let the ladies go first.
Yeah.
Good job, Joanna. That's a hard one to follow, to be honest. My name's Christina Markunis, and I'm the secretary on the Planning Commission currently. I very shortly served with Jeff Albaugh as deputy clerk just towards the end after Sue George resigned. And I will be happy to continue on the Planning Commission if I'm not elected, but I just wanted to put in my interest. I'm interested in being part of the Township Board. I think it's very important that all positions are filled, which I know they will be, but I have an ag background as well as research. And I just think with the goal of the township, it would be very helpful if there was somebody with an ag background who appreciated what Marshall Township is, which is a more rural natured area. I think it's very important that we consider what the residents want, and I know that's the main goal for the board members, but to be honest, I never really thought about, being part of township government until after the major campus went in. And then I realized that, if I want to do something about it, I need to be part of it. And so that's a big part of why I'm here today, is I do want to help maintain Marshall Township for what it is. And while I know growth is important, I think it's, again, if you want to do something, you need to, take initiative and be part of it, listen to the residents. And I know there will be decisions that I don't necessarily want to make, especially because I feel like no matter what decision you make, someone's not going to be happy with you. And I'm okay with that, because for me, the main goal is just, listening to people and really just trying to follow what the township. Trying to think. Joanna, you really set a hard one to follow there. Yeah, I was like, that was a high bar. With my prior experience right now, I am working on a farm, actually Bossard Family Farm, but my prior experience was in animal research, in which I had to be very well informed and prepared for meetings. I traveled and trained a lot of veterinarians on protocols, and so I think with my prior experience, I would be a good fit for this. I'm very good at doing research. I'm very detail oriented, and I like to be on top of things. I do not have the background that Joanna has, but I am interested, regardless of if I don't get this position, of maintaining a role with the township. I guess that's my short and sweet speech. So,
Does anybody have any questions for?
no.
No, I just, as the board's representative to the planning commission, I've worked alongside both Joanna and Christina for the last year and a half, and they both bring a lot to the table and have really excelled with the planning commission, and I've enjoyed working with both of them at that particular level. So.
Okay.
I will also echo that, is like transitioning into the clerk role, like Christina has been very helpful in knowing different aspects of the township that I'm still learning within those roles. So just, I know that your experience from working on the planning commission gives you some insight into things, but also the deputy clerk has really helped. And so, yeah, I think even though I live on farmland, I would say Christina probably knows a lot more about ag than I do. And it is something to consider too, that perspective when we look at our township and how much area is ag, so, and it's something that consistently comes back in the feedback that we get from surveys and outreach from the community. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Christina, for helping in some of those things. Trying to think if there's a question particularly. I think you're right about reaching out. I'll tell you the two things that I think about, at least it's going to be in making my decision, and this kind of goes back to Joanna as well. I look at decision-making, how people make decisions is going to be, because every single person here is qualified by the state statutes. They have to be 18 or older and have to be a resident of the township. Those are the two criteria by law. Every candidate fulfills that. And so then I look at, well, what does that look like? And how do we make decisions as a board? I don't expect every single person to vote the exact same way I do, and nor should I expect that from a candidate. And the second thing I look at is stability of the township, to make sure that township government continues to function properly so that it can continue on without disrupted service. So, yeah, so those are the two things going in my mind. You talked about in decision-making, connecting to residents and stuff like that. Do you want to speak a little bit more to how you would
How I
make those
would,
connections?
well,
Yeah.
and that's where it would also sometimes be difficult. So I would definitely, I assume residents come to you and talk to you about how they feel. And so I would have no problem with, residents coming to me, telling me what they're feeling, telling me, what they, would like to see. I do understand that there are criteria in the decision-making where sometimes you're not going to be able to maybe do exactly what they want, but I do think it's important to make the residents aware that you're hearing them at least, and maybe justifying or at least explaining why you can't necessarily go that route. So I would listen and, if somebody came to a meeting and was explaining, we don't understand this, we're telling you this and you're not making the decisions we feel are correct in our opinion, I just think it would be important, say, we hear you, we've considered this, and, X, Y, and Z, this is why we're going this way. I feel like a lot of people didn't feel like they were heard, at least based on my experience on the planning commission, is people don't feel like they're heard. And in my decision-making, I let people know they are, and maybe explain, why I'm doing what I'm doing. Does that answer?
That does, thank
Okay.
you.
Anything else?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, yeah, I'll still be happy on the planning commission, so I'll stick with you.
All right. Rick?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Rick Redmond. I've lived in the Marshall area for 35 years and have called Marshall Township my home for the last 20 years. I live in the Squaw Creek neighborhood. My wife Kelly and I have raised our 2 children in the Marshall Township area. I've participated in negotiations with for law. I can't speak tonight. I participated in negotiations for law enforcement. I worked for the sheriff's office, and I participated in negotiations for law enforcement service agreements with the Township of Convis and Penfield, Springfield City, and Homer Village. I created and managed the department's annual budgets, administered multiple state and federal grants, oversaw our purchasing and bidding procedures, regularly prepared our agenda items for the Calhoun County Board of Commissioners, and worked directly with the elected officials. I am pleased to have the support of Sheriff Steve Hinckley as well as former Sheriff Matt Saxton and Al Byam for the position. I believe my experience in public financial management will allow me to contribute effectively to the Township Board, and I would be honored to serve as your trustee. I do not have any experience in the township other than being a resident.
That's all right.
But I have been here a long time. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes, Glenn?
So Rick, could you talk a little bit more about, you mentioned policymaking and intergovernmental collaboration, maybe, because I think that's an important element on the township board. So maybe you could expand on that.
Well, obviously we worked a lot with the law enforcement or the townships and the cities providing law enforcement. I was the financial representative, worked directly with a lot of out county municipalities in Metro Detroit for boarding inmates, spoke a lot with the ICE for immigration, actually worked with animal control, with the treasurer's office to make sure we do dog licenses, a little bit with gun registrations with the county clerk. I would do that. I was in charge of the FOIA information in regards to the general public. That's about it.
What were your interactions with the County Board of Commissioners?
started with, I was on the sheriff's workshop meeting 30 years ago with Mike Knopf and George Parrott. Worked with Jace Bolger, worked with Steve Frisbee, worked with Matt Saxton, Kate Siegel, Jim Hadsma, everybody over the last 30 years, especially with the budgets. We'd meet a lot with them, Kathy Sue Dunn, Derek King. Had lots of interactions with them.
This is all related to the sheriff's department.
Sheriff's office, yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's lots of interactions because the sheriff's the largest division in the county government. And a lot of interaction like gun permits, animal control, dog licenses. They kind of cross departments and divisions.
Okay.
One more question.
Yes.
So, one of the things that we go through once a year is creating our budget for the year. So could you expand a little bit more on, what your role was in creating budgets and?
I basically created the budget. I basically did everything from putting in the numbers together, working with the sheriff, working with the law enforcement commander, the jail commanders to make sure that they had what they needed in the budget. Worked with the treasurer's office to make sure that we had the right numbers for like dog licenses. Worked with the finance department to make sure, hey, did these numbers are accurate? Do you got any questions? Let me know. I like to make sure that like people within the finance department, we have no issues with each other. We let the elected officials fight out. We want to make sure the numbers are right and let the elected officials decide if that's what they want to spend their money on, or if they want to raise a line item or lower a line item. So.
With that, so like moving from someone that's tangentiary from an elected official to being an elected official in that realm, how do you see that playing out with being an elected official? Because we also have a fiduciary duty to make sure that taxpayer dollars are being used wisely. So I just am curious, like.
Yeah, and I understand that because in my position at the sheriff's office, I could give ideas all day long. You should do this, you should do that. But the elected official is actually the one that says, this is what we're going to do. And I got to live by the decision that I made. And I trusted you to do I took your advice or didn't take your advice. So it's kind of like the buck stops here types of thing. I apologize, I'm a little nervous. This was my first job interview in 30 years. So.
Yeah.
Doing a great job.
I don't know if it's a great job, but I'm doing my best.
Yeah. No.
It's just good to get to know each and
Right.
one of you. I know we talked on the phones and a couple of you I've worked with over the last year and a half. So just to get to know you.
And I appreciate that. And I can answer any more questions, or I can let the next person go if they're here.
Yeah. How I asked the question to Christina, I'll ask it to you as well about, how do you go about making decisions? I could even pull this audience and we could even say where, some people would land on one side of an idea and another group would land on the other side of an idea. You can find good examples to either be for something or against something, and find an example in the township to either way it. So at the end of the day, how do you justify, what drives you, one, to this position, and then two, like, how do you just think about making decisions? Maybe not even, like I think about it too, it's like I'm representing people not only who voted for me, but people who didn't vote for me, because they still live in the township and this government needs to work for them as well. So how do you go about making decisions?
Well, first of all, you got to figure out what's your goal, what's your end goal. And you got to, especially, I'm going to have to ask. I'm going to have to ask lots of people. I'm not a big reinvent the wheel guy. I'd try to find people that have similar issues and ask them what they did. I always thought, like, when we went to like meetings and seminars and stuff, the seminar never was where you got the information. You got the information going out to eat. with your colleagues and asking them, hey, how do you do this? And basically ask questions, and you have a moral compass, and that hopefully will guide you, and you hope you do the best with what you can think about and what the public expects of us. It's a little bit different because I worked in the same job for 30 years. The first 10 years, that's kind of how you based your decisions on. The last 20 years, it was like, well, in 1997, this is what we did then. Because what comes around goes around lots of times. So it's going to be a wide opening experience. Because I realize at the county when people would run for elective, I have an idea what you guys do, but until you actually do the job, you don't really have an idea.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there any other questions? All right, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Is Nathaniel here?
So I did talk with Nathaniel a bit and on the phone, and he indicated to me, and I don't know if Christina, if he said anything to you, but he indicated to me he was going to withdraw from the trustee position, but was still very interested in the supervisor position because he had applied for both. So I don't think he's going to be here tonight, but I don't know.
No, he said he was just going to go to the supervisor.
Okay. Well, we're close the candidate portion of this. I want to thank you all. You're all very qualified. So at this point, I guess we're going to have to deliberate and choose someone.
Yep.
How do you want
So just to make it clear to the audience out there how this works, is that fine, Glenn, if I kind of just talk through this? So I guess, and one other question to kind of just raise to our candidates, just to make sure that they're aware, if you are selected, you would have to fill out the paperwork necessary to get yourself onto the ballot, okay, which would need to be filed to me, the clerk. And there are two options. So there's a form that you fill out, an affidavit of identity. And then along with that, you have the choice of either paying a $100 fee to be on the ballot, or you can collect signatures. And I mean, you could even potentially do that tonight here. There's plenty of people here. But you would get those, and then you'd have to turn that in. And we'd have to have that in before 4 p.m. on the 20th. So that would be the next board meeting, but it would have to be at 4 p.m. I will be here, my wife will be here until that day, waiting and keeping the office open until candidate filings are there. But that would be the last day that could be turned in for your name to actually be on the ballot. How this will go in terms of it, we will discuss things. Someone will make a motion, then we will vote. If there are 3 people, 3 board members that vote in the affirmative, that person will then be appointed to that position. If it's not, if we vote and it doesn't get 3, votes, then we go back, we talk some more, and we propose another candidate. So just because someone's initially proposed does not mean that they're going to be the one definitely going to be getting that. It has to have 3 votes. Okay. Does that cover everything?
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Dave, I don't know if you want us to go one at a time or what?
That's fine.
So, yeah, I would just reiterate what the rest of the board said. This is really a great feeling to have multiple candidates and not only multiple candidates, but multiple excellent candidates. So even if you're not chosen tonight, please feel that you are very qualified. And I think it shows kind of where we're at, I think, as a township and how we've grown. I do believe, I guess personally, we have a couple candidates that applied for both positions, so there's an element of thinking towards potentially our next meeting and potentially, talking about appointments for a supervisor. So I think in particular, Joanna and Nathaniel have applied for those in addition to Drew. So, I think from my perspective, again, there's no question in Joanna Johnson's leadership on the JPC and both and also our own planning commission and all the work that planning commission has accomplished. I think in my mind, I think of her as a great supervisor candidate. That doesn't mean, I think she'd be an excellent trustee as well. And so then I look for other things, and one of the things, and Rick and I have known each other for a while. I think one of the gaps I think we've had over time is a little bit of a connection with the county and understanding how the county works and maybe doesn't work. And I think just some of the topics we talked about, budget creating, policy making, and that intergovernmental element, I feel would be very helpful. Also recognize that Christine has done a great job in helping out the township as well, both as a deputy clerk and definitely on the planning commission. So, yeah, great candidates and great opportunity. And I think, just to follow on, I think what Joanna said is there are, whether there becomes an opening in the planning commission, that'll take place whether one way or another today. But there's lots of opportunities to participate in the township and maybe grow, from those other roles. So.
Just to go on with what Glenn said, one of the things that I always used is the people that came to the meetings and talked, and those are the people that, like Joanna, she applied for the thing, and as soon as the meeting was over, I thought she'd be a great candidate for the planning commission, and I called her that night and appointed her, and that was, those are, that's what you look for, people that are interested, and whether you're appointed tonight or those positions are there, and the interest that you show is really good.
Yeah, I'll echo that as well. Like, I think we're splitting hairs tonight. Like everyone that's here is real. Like, I'm just blown away at the quality of these candidates, as you both have said. And I just want to clarify one thing as we start thinking about voting and stuff. If I vote no, and I'm not going to speak for these other, but if I vote no on a certain candidate and you do get elected, I will support you 100%. I don't want that. We're literally splitting hairs between candidates. It's really difficult. I think I honestly I'm still trying to figure out where I land on where people run. I will say, just going, kind of what Glenn did, kind of talk about each one. I like Joanna Johnson and so many great things that she's done. I honestly, the thing that I love about Joanna is she's really good at bringing a lot of context sometimes to a conversation and looking at, and I know we're not talking about the supervisor role, but the supervisor role is a very different role than a trustee role in the sense it's a moderating role. And so, and as you have said in the past, Dave, like you don't go to planning commission meetings, you don't go to those things because the supervisor shouldn't be influencing those other boards. Those other boards are meant to be a very separate entity, and we don't want the board to be manipulating from above, right? And so to me, and I'm saying this because I'm like, I don't want to lose Joanna's voice in some of those other locations, like the zoning board of appeals. Like, we're already down a person in that position, and that's sometimes for me, I lean a little bit closer if I was going to consider her as a candidate. I like her a little bit more towards the trustee position because her voice can be more heard versus moderating and making sure that there's equal times. According to the MTA handbook, it kind of describes that very similar to the Roberts, using parliamentary procedures, that the supervisor's role is really more to, make sure that there's good discussion and that there's equal conversation happening. It's less being top down. And I know that we've had some maybe supervisors in the past, like Gene Haymaker, who's a little bit more of that type of a person who influence things, but that would be my only concern with the thinking if someone's crossing lines, like I would just be remiss if I would say that voice being less would be a thing that I would miss, is all I would say. But in terms of the other two candidates, I think both of them are great. Like I said, Christina has done great things. She's done a lot of different things through the township and a lot of different roles. So she's aware of the intergovernmental things and how those offices work. I think her ag background brings a lot of perspective that we're missing on this board as well, especially with, eventually Dave going to be moving off. So that's something to think about too. And then Rick, I think, you do bring a lot of interesting connections of intergovernmental things, working with the sheriff's department, working with people at the county. So you guys definitely have done a good job at not making this easy.
I'll just say that the breadth of experience, just following up on what y'all have already presented, the breadth of experience that the candidates bring is extraordinary. We have the ag lady back here, and we know that farming is such a big deal here in the township, and we appreciate every one of our farmers and folks who do that. We have Joanna, whose leadership and roles in road commissions for that other county. most recently, Kalamazoo County, a lot of experience there, but brings that knowledge to our county road commission. And then with Rick, your experience with the sheriff's department, interactions with the county, and it's that law enforcement piece that you're connected with, it's also a very important part of what we're all into this for trying to lead the township down the right road. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. So.
Okay, I guess at this point,
Did you want to say anything, Dave? Or?
Well, I mean, you guys have pretty much said it all. I don't want to waste a lot of time. But I will say that I guess that because with me leaving, I would like to see somebody with an ag background on the board. I think it's very important because the planning commission has talked about, keeping ag. Well, the only way you keep ag, it's got to be friendly, and you can't tax them to death. And that's the things. Taxes will kill it, and if you're not open to ag being able to actually function, you can make rules that make it so that they won't be here, they'll leave. So I guess that's my opinion. I mean, Rick has plenty of knowledge. I think that if he's not on this, we better find a place for him, in my opinion. I mean, and Joanna, I think you'd be a great supervisor. So or a trustee, either one. So it's been, so, all right, you got something to say, Glenn?
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back on, I think some of the things that Wayne was talking about. I think, again, we're here for the trustee position, but I think the supervisor role is much more than, moderator at a meeting. I think it's quite often seen as a leadership role in the township, and typically would be that interface with the city or the county. For example, even the road department meetings, where they have all the supervisors. So it's definitely a leadership role, I think, and I think that's why, it's why we pay more for a supervisor. Is, the expectation is they're going to be in the community, they're going to be interacting, they're going to be bringing that back to the board in a leadership role, and helping guide us, which I think is critical, because we all have different thoughts, and sometimes herding the cats is is a difficult job. So I think it's a critical role. And I think, again, we're not talking about this, we're not deciding on that tonight, but I think those are items that Joanna has demonstrated in many of her positions, be it on the road department in Kalamazoo, or definitely for the township, and maybe more recently on the Joint Planning Commission. So.
Excuse me, did we skip audience comments?
No.
We are now doing board member comments?
No.
No, we're on number 1 of special order of
We're
business.
still on number 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just saying, to me, that I still feel that way about, like, if I was gonna, between the two roles, I appreciate her voice and her expertise in those two areas, and that's just where I land on that. So that's just why, that's just where I thought a lot about it, and I think from that perspective, I just think that I really value those conversations in that way, and that's why that's where I lean. So, and like I said, we're splitting hairs here, so it's not that they wouldn't do good in these other roles. It's just, that's where I land on that. So.
If there's any other discussion, I guess we'll entertain a motion on the position.
I would make a motion to appoint Rick Redmond to the position of trustee.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? I want to get it wrote down.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Give you a second, catch up.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
So there's been a motion by Glenn to appoint Rick Redmond to the position of trustee. It was supported by Mick Woods.
So have a roll call vote.
Yeah, is there any discussion, anyone else? Or no?
I asked.
Okay, yeah, I didn't hear, sorry.
Yeah.
Roll call vote. Roll call. Supervisor Bossard,
No.
Clerk right. I'm gonna say no. Glenn Kowalski,
Yes.
Mick Woods,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, the motion fails because we didn't have 3 yes votes at this time. So, we can,
Make another motion.
yeah, we can nominate someone else.
I'll make a motion to appoint Joanna Johnson as trustee.
Is there support?
I will support for discussion if anybody has any further discussion.
I think the one other thing is if she was to remain as a trustee, she could continue on the zoning board of appeals. I think that that's something that's useful. I think that also that she could, she's already filled out her candidate filing and it's been approved, which is a nice, easy thing. It's already on the ballot, which is convenient. Not necessarily something that we should use as a voting metric, but it is something that's she's already on the ballot. Yeah, I think that she'd do a great job as a trustee on this board, so.
Is there any other discussion?
So I guess just to clarify, she could also withdraw if she was chosen as supervisor.
She has 5 days from it's like the Friday, I don't have the statute right in front of me right now, but there's 5 days that she would have to withdraw on the last day of turning in. So I think so the 20th is the last day of turning in. I think by that Friday, she would have the opportunity to withdraw. She doesn't have to withdraw. She could keep her thing on the ballot. That's completely up to her if she'd like to or not. But, yeah.
Point of clarification, if appointed to the trustee, does that negate her for supervisor?
So the one thing to consider with that is, I mean, in theory, no. In the aspect of let's say we approve her as the trustee tonight, and then later we approve her to be the supervisor. She cannot hold 2 positions at the same time. So what would happen would be at the trustee would be filled, and then it would be vacant when she would be appointed, let's say if she was appointed to supervisor, and then that trustee would be back open. The trustee position is going to be on the ballot no matter what. So that's the one thing to think about is, if we select her for trustee, and then do that, if we reappoint someone else to that position, they will not be able to be on that ballot.
Say that again?
Their name will not be on the ballot. So I'll say it again. If we approve Joanna Johnson as trustee right now, and then on the 20th, when we actually take up talking about the supervisor, potentially, let's say we do it on the 20th, the supervisor appointment. Let's say we vote Joanna at that point. The trustee position then becomes open again where we would have to appoint someone.
Correct.
At that point, because of the dates, that person would not be able to get their name on the actual ballot. So what would happen, there's 2 ways this could play out. Their name doesn't get on the ballot, but Joanna's name is still on there. We get to November election. Let's say Joanna wins the trustee position. At that point, you'd have to appoint them because that person can't occupy 2 offices at the same time. Does that make sense? You would appoint someone temporarily.
Circling it back to the trustee position.
Yes.
If on the 20th, Joanna would be appointed as supervisor and she accepts that appointment,
Correct,
that would reopen this.
correct.
The new appointee would then serve out the rest of the term?
No.
They would serve the term until the November election.
Right.
And then whatever happens at the November election, so anybody can put their candidate filing in
Okay,
there.
that's what I was trying to.
Yep. So right now, as it states, Joanna's already on that
Okay.
November, she would probably, I've had conversations with Joanna in the past about this. She would not remove her name probably from that election spot. That's what she told me. She's like, I'd probably keep, in that scenario, I'd keep my name on the ballot. If she won the majority of the votes, at that point, she would either accept that trustee position or not.
So no matter what circumstance happens, this position will be in the election.
It is,
Correct.
what's on the
As it stands
ballot,
right now.
it's about when the vacancy happens. That's what determines whether it's on it's all about when the vacancy happens.
So there's two, just to clarify, there's the clerk and there's the trustee that will be on the ballot in August and November.
Yes, my position will be on the ballot as the clerk, and the trustee position will be on the ballot as well. Both of those have to be on the ballot. Okay,
Okay,
ready for a roll call vote?
this is for Joanna Johnson.
Yep, for Joanna Johnson.
Right.
Sorry, just finishing writing this out. We are rotating, so I'll go myself. Wright, I will vote yes. Kowalski,
No.
Woods,
No,
Bossard.
No.
Okay.
Okay, we'll now entertain another motion.
I will make a motion to appoint Christina Markounis.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion? Once you finish.
Sorry, I'm just writing.
That's fine.
Okay.
Glad it's you.
It's a lot of work. Thank you, Jeff. Man.
All right, is there any discussion then? Anybody?
I have nothing other than what's already been stated, so.
Okay. Guess we're ready for a roll call.
Kowalski,
No.
Woods,
Yes,
Bossard,
Yes.
and I will vote yes as well.
Well, congratulations and
All
thank
right.
you to everybody. Really do appreciate you coming.
Yes, and I would agree that we want to see if we can plug every single candidate in somehow into the government at this point. Yeah.
Yep, that's always, when we need to appoint somebody, I always try to look for people and I really like to hear what they have to say. And you said some things the part about your moral compass, that's very important. You can't let other people move you, and money and people's opinions sometimes try to move you. You have to stick with what you know is right, So, all right, that one's done. Consideration of the appointment agreement for the zoning administrator. think we have a very highly qualified candidate. He's actually already signed the agreement and is willing to start working before the date on here, so.
Okay.
Yep,
I guess, I don't know if we want to jump into discussion or want to look for a motion.
let's
first.
do a motion first and then we can go into discussion.
I'll move that we accept the agreement identifying Shelley Briggs as the township's next zoning administrator.
Is there a second?
Can you just say that one more time? I'm trying to write it down. Sorry. Move to,
What's the recording say?
yeah, I could do
That
that.
we move to accept the agreement stating Shelley Briggs as the township's next zoning administrator.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay. Now we'll open it up for discussion. Glenn?
Yeah, so this is the first time we've had a chance as a board to talk about this agreement, so I think it's important to go through it, so I hopefully we've all gone through the agreement. I agree Shelley's a great candidate, and I'm really glad that she is considering coming to the township. I had two questions in my mind, one question and one suggested modification, but so in the first paragraph of the contract, it says, if a township observed holiday or office closure reduces the number of available workdays in a given week, the ZA may make up the remaining hours during the following week with approval of the township supervisor. So I think I understand this, but because in the past, the board's voted on things and then it's turned out to be different. Does this mean, are we saying by this statement that the holidays are not paid? Is that what we're saying? In other words, either work the holiday or you work another day or you don't get paid. What I'm unclear. So I don't know who created this statement. I think that's the way I understand. My understanding, I guess I'll just throw it out there, is that if we have Memorial Day and it's a Monday and that's part of the working hours, that the zoning administrator may make up the remaining hours during the following week with the approval of the township supervisor.
I think one of the words in there is may. And when it's needed, I think she would be making up those hours. And that's the way Shelley and I talked about that, because that was one of the concerns. And she's willing to do what it's going to take to do the job to get everything done. And she's willing to make up those hours when they need to be made up.
It is a salaried position, and salaried positions do require overtime in some cases. So that is something that was understood in the agreement. But I did not take it as I must make up that time.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think it's important because I think, like I said, the past board passed something and then it didn't come to fruition. And the other under supervision, it seems appropriate that the township supervisor could supervise the role. What I would suggest to be consistent with our office manager role is that I don't believe that it's appropriate for one person to do the job performance evaluation. I think that's a board evaluation. So rather than it falling on one person who may or may not be in the office, on a regular basis, that it fall back to the board, as I believe the office manager role stipulates. So that's a suggestion.
I mean, I think that, the zoning administrator would be working with certain board members probably more than others. And obviously, I think from the planning commission. So I mean, getting input from the people that work most closely with that could be a part of it. But I think in terms of putting it all together, I think it makes sense for the supervisor to put together because they're the one that, like, I know you're referring to Carl and stuff like that in terms of the office manager, but in that regard, like, the person who interacted the most was the clerk because of how much paperwork and stuff had to go between Carl and what was happening at the front. And I'm just beginning to see the amount of things that he does in that regard. So it makes sense the people who are closest to those people to be the ones that have the heaviest weight on evaluations. Not that other people can't, put something in, is all I'm trying to say.
Right, but the office manager, the board will do the performance appraisal, the way it's worded. And so the closest people that are going to be to working with Shelley is going to be the planning commission. So if you wanted to have somebody the closest, you would make the chair of the planning commission do the performance appraisal, or have the planning commission do it, right? Because they're the closest to.
I think there'd be a lot of interaction between the clerk and Shelley because of the overlapping of the roles.
How was that handled with the previous zoning administrator? Performance reviews, evals?
I don't ever remember doing a performance review.
Yeah, there was no stipulation for performance appraisal.
Right. But we have that.
He did report to the board because it was a board contract.
Right.
And this is a board contract, right? So I think it just doesn't make any other sense to me other than to have, and there's many ways of, I look at these positions as leadership positions, right? I think the office manager, in theory, runs the township hall when we're not here. And in this case, Shelley, should we approve the contract, would basically run our zoning department. So I think they're leadership roles, and ultimately, I think the board should weigh in on it. And I think there are good ways to do that. Obviously, a lot of input from the planning commission. So I guess my suggested change would be those, or what I am suggesting is leave the, if we feel it's appropriate, leave the supervision with the supervisor. Again, is that the right place? I think
in the term for her to have somebody to go to, you need one person and not 5 people. So I think the supervisor should be that supervision, but then the board also is able to, right. But I think there needs to be one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying for the job evaluation, that's a different story. This is a contract between the board and Shelley, so I think the board really, I don't think it doesn't change a lot, I don't think, because if the supervisor, if we leave it the way it was written and the supervisor was doing his job, he would poll the board, he or she, would pull the board, pull the planning commission, and pull it together. That can also be done as a board. I've been involved in boards where, for example, the superintendent of schools, when we did his performance appraisal, there was a board process for doing that. And again, it's consistent with the office manager, so.
So how would you reword that then?
Yeah, I was trying to.
Possibly have the supervisor present the job performance evaluation to the board for approval?
So,
Or just a communication?
I guess, from my perspective, I don't have a problem, or I'm not concerned about the element that overall supervision and job performance, right? I mean, that's what Dave was saying. Somebody that can be talking to Shelley, whether she needs help, she's looking for some help, or the board is looking for, some more emphasis in an area that can go through the supervisor, it's fine. So I think it's really that second portion, or that last portion, which is a job evaluation. So I think we could just put a segment in there that, again, similar to the office manager, that just says the board will perform a performance evaluation of the services provided by the terms of this agreement. And I think somewhere else it talks about timing. I think it's basically on the anniversary date. I think it's the previous paragraph. So again, this is the first time, we've reviewed this as a group, so that's why I'm bringing it up.
And you said it says, sorry, I'm trying to find it again, where it said the anniversary date, is it on there, or do we need to add that as well?
No, I think it says within 60 days of the anniversary date.
Okay, yep, I see that
meet
now.
for the purposes of just, so again, this kind of flies in the face of the other. The parties agree they will meet for the purpose of discussing Shelley's job performance. Annual reviews will be conducted in the same month, blah, blah, blah. So again, it kind of implies the parties, right? We're the party. The board is the body, the governing body. So I'll make the motion that we change that job performance section to moving it from the supervisor alone to the board.
So we're amending the motion. So we'd have to have a second to amend the motion.
I'll second for discussion, continued discussion. How's it, if I may, how's it written up in the office manager's agreement for that particular eval?
The wording generally is that the board will perform an annual performance appraisal. We could probably try and bring it up if we wanted.
Let me see if I can.
I don't know if it's going to be easy to find or not, maybe not.
Would that be, I'm trying to think, would that be July of last year? Is that June or July?
It was July.
Let's see. said July, do you think it was at, or do
Pretty sure.
you think there was a special board meeting, and then there was, the regular township one?
Unknown.
I can't even remember what the special one was back then.
You can just open it up in the agenda.
We're thinking that performance thing, it doesn't say the supervisor will be performing the performance, it's the parties. So I guess the board would be.
Look at, it literally opened to that office manager job description.
How about that?
In the middle of the document.
It's like,
not even,
like magic.
yeah, that was special right there. Okay.
Siri's listening.
Yeah, I know, technology scares me. Okay.
I think this is a job description. This might
Job
not
description,
be the contract. I don't know.
the job description. Let me just make sure it didn't have.
It might be before this.
Okay, let's take a look.
Right here.
Here it is, yep, there you go. Let's see, effective date, performance review right here. This agreement shall, let me zoom in. I'm not the same as I used to be. Agreement, mouse, shall become effective July 1st and continue effect until terminated as provided herein. Within 60 days of the annual review, date of agreement, the parties agree that they will meet for the purposes of discussing Carl Fowler's job performance and adequacy of the monthly compensation amount. The compensation change shall occur with written modification of this agreement and supervision. The township clerk shall be responsible for the over supervision and services of the job performance of Carl Fowler. So it does say, and job performance of Carl Fowler here. The township clerk is responsible for the overall supervision of the services and job performance of Carl Fowler. In the event that the clerk is unable to do so, the township supervisor shall be responsible for the overall supervision.
So if we just removed the job performance evaluation from this and left the wording the way the previous paragraph is, it'd be almost identical to this. So essentially it's saying supervisor, overall supervision of services and job performance is the role of the supervisor. And then the previous paragraph says the parties, which is us, will hold an annual performance review.
Okay. We have an amendment to the.
Okay. Goodbye, Joanna. It's like, gotta enjoy imperfection. Okay, so I guess we do a roll call vote if there's no further discussion. So
We
you're
have an
saying
amendment.
an amendment, yeah. So Glenn makes the motion to move the job performance evaluation. You said originally from the supervision to the party section. Is it correct?
Right, but I think now it's the simplest version would be just to remove the job performance evaluation.
Strike that last phrase, and job performance evaluation.
Right, and then it reads almost identical to the office manager.
So I'm gonna put, makes the motion to remove job performance evaluation from the supervision paragraph.
Right.
And then just go with what it is in the previous.
Tidy up the English a little bit. So.
Okay.
Sure.
Do a roll call vote on
Roll
that.
call vote, okay. Let me see who we last off with last. Okay. 1 second. Okay, trustee Woods,
Yes.
supervisor Bossard,
Yes.
I will vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
4 yeses. The motion is approved.
The amendment.
The amendment is approved. Thank you.
Now we need to, is there any more discussion on the approving the, well, the only thing on the approving this is there a date that you'd rather, Shelley, that you would rather be starting than May 11th?
Let's see what the new contract says when I get it,
Okay.
and I'll give you a call.
Okay, sounds good. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
Do we need to make a motion to like adjust that date to whatever that contract says, or? I mean, we can pre-approve that as a board.
Is there a date on here?
Yeah, May 11th.
Okay.
So,
First page under compensation.
right.
Could it be more, does it have to be a specific date or?
Oh, we're approving it. But we can amend it that the date could be modified.
Approve as is, then amend.
Right.
So essentially, we're saying we approve, in this case, this makes it difficult.
We approve the contract.
Yeah, but normally, like, we will say, like, we approve, like, the supervisor to amend the contract, you know? So
Okay.
the question is, like, you know, what's a time frame that we'll know that, do you know?
Well, she wants the new contract.
ASAP, right?
Right.
Okay, so you'll be still around, so then we can approve you to modify the date,
I guess, I don't know.
if you're open to it?
I'm open to it.
Okay,
I'd like to get this done.
yes.
Where is that date?
It's on the first page,
First page on the
in the
paragraph,
middle.
compensation.
It's on a different page.
This first page?
No.
Here, I'll give you mine.
No, got it. Got it.
So the motion is,
So are we gonna change that date or not?
yes, we're making, we're adjusting, we're allowing the supervisor, the motion is to allow the supervisor to amend.
Well, I think if we could get her the contract
Date.
quickly, we could have this done and we'd have a meeting on Monday night.
I'm guessing it won't take a lot of time, but I guess you don't know, right?
So the motion is allow the supervisor to amend the date to fit the contract.
Okay? Is there a second?
Second. To amend the beginning date?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to a later date.
Yeah,
No,
not to a later date.
Because she said that she's willing to start
Yes,
working.
yeah.
But
Right, Woods, okay.
we made some changes and she needs to have it in her hands.
We could literally whip this up tonight and hand it to her.
There's a lot to do. I also
It's a
have,
Word document, right?
I think I have access to that Word document. I also have to get Christina's, I have it already open to fill in whoever we were gonna get in their name. So I have that to do tonight to swear them in. Okay,
Yes.
roll call? Bassard?
Yes.
Right, yes. Treasurer Kowalski?
Yes.
Trustee Woods?
Yes.
Amendment carries. Motion.
Okay, now we need to go back to
The whole thing.
Right.
Too many notes. This page, yeah, okay. Okay, so So we need a motion.
No, we have a motion on.
Oh, yeah, it's already on we have to actually do it now.
We need a roll call vote on.
Roll call vote, thank you. So that's back then. So this would be, it is. Jeff made it look easy. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. I know, there is. I have seen it, but I didn't have it with me tonight, so.
He needs more help.
Yeah, I know, listen, it's a thing. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Clerk, right, I'm gonna vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
Trustee Woods,
Yes.
Supervisor Bossard.
Yes.
The agreement is approved.
Okay. This time we'll open it back up to audience comments. Barry?
Mary Wayne Adams again, 622 West Green Street again. Well, I'll congratulate your new trustee, and too bad Joanna left the meeting early, because I was going to congratulate her beforehand for assuming the position of supervisor next week. But first thing I want to do is invite all of you to a community meeting that we are putting together that's going to be held this Thursday night at 7 at the Hope Friends Church, which is down by F Drive South and Homer Road. This is going to be concerning data centers. We have a number of speakers. We will be presenting information that you're not going to be hearing from the newspapers or the city. But we've gotten the word out to a lot of people. We're expecting a big showing. There will be people coming from Fredonia, Eckford, Marengo, hopefully, and quite a few people from the city. But this whole data center thing is kind of put people over the top with what is going on with these parties coming in, wanting to throw around a lot of money. And unfortunately, the city has a insatiable craving for additional tax revenues, and they seem to be indifferent to the real world ramifications of destroying wetland and the Brooks Nature Center in order to create these environmental monstrosities that are data centers. But things are still going on with the megasite issue also. The committee took the Court of Appeals decision back up to the Michigan Supreme Court. Looking at the Court of Appeals decision, it does not really say anything more than it tried to say before, but trying to scrape up some additional justification. But they did not even take into consideration the guidance that was provided by the Michigan Supreme Court in reference to the Clam Lake Township versus Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. The fatal defect, and I don't want to show our hand too quickly, but there are fundamental fatal defects in what's going on with the LDFA and its contract with Altera Development in doing the due diligence viability analysis. But notwithstanding that, the city there are a couple of the city board members that are fence rating right now. And we're not sure whether they're just doing that to, for the purposes of political theatrics, and then right at the final moment to jump onto the side of data centers. But as what happened with the mega site, we've gathered abundant information and research. And of course, our trying to disseminate it on social media has been responded to with the standard vilifications and substanceless ridicule. Lots of emojis, no facts. But people are coming to an understanding that they're going to have to do something about what's been going on. There has been a political lethargy in the city and the county at large for probably a couple of decades at least, and people had pretty much given up and let the local governments do what they want to do. But after seeing what's happened with the mess, the mega mess that has arisen, the new traffic configuration, and it's interesting how we were gaslit about the traffic thing, and when you actually look at it, it was about the Blue Oval plant. It's not about making our traffic more modern or whatever. It's about allowing those trucks to get to the factory without having to stop at a traffic light. And now we're paying the price for it. We're seeing accidents. I've heard a number of different stories about accidents with great level of severity, and people are not acclimating to the 90-degree turn that's just up there too well. But all of these modifications are not being appreciated by the locals, and we're starting to get a sufficient amount of active opposition to stand up to try to reverse what's happened, because all of this has been done, but it can all be undone, and it probably would be better if it was undone. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Is there anyone else? Yes, Jim.
My wife said, sit down and shut up.
No.
I didn't do that. I just want to say, I believe that what I said before, that there were things in the works in order to keep the supervisor from his resignation from becoming active for 2 months, so that you could put it on later, so that they won't have to run for 2.5 years. But welcome to the new board member. I just want to say that I wish all of you the best. I want this township to succeed. It's where I live. It's where my home is. It's where I'll die. And I want it to succeed. So I wish the best for everybody. I wish the best for the township. It is very easy, especially for me, to sit behind my keyboard and talk crap and say things. But I think that it becomes much harder to govern than it does to bitch. But I do appreciate your time. I appreciate your efforts, and I really, really want the township to succeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
I'm James Berry.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move to board member comments.
Well, it was a great meeting. And again, we're glad we had candidates to choose from. And no one should feel like they didn't have a good chance because they're all great candidates. Just a couple comments. Mr. Berry made an accusation. I just want to follow up. As far as I know, he has no way of reading people's minds, so I don't think he could read my mind. And if you go back to the meeting video, I think you'd see that there was a discussion specifically around why the board was making the decisions they were making. So just to correct a fact, on February 17th, the resignation was presented after the board agenda and during board comments. So we really couldn't take action that evening. And then in the next meeting in March, I think we talked about specifically why we were making decisions we made. I'm very open about it. It's pretty difficult to fill two major positions, and that evening we were able to fill the clerk position, which was heavy on everyone's mind, and we really only had one candidate. And we had no candidates at that point because of the timing. I mean, we literally had 2 weeks to consider anyone for the supervisor position. So we chose to push that off until we could find candidates, of which we found at this point, I believe, 3 very good candidates that hopefully we'll be able to consider at our next regular meeting.
Just to follow up on Glenn's there, my decision-making during that process at that particular meeting, and I think along with the rest of the boards, was for the stability and the continuity of this board to represent the residents of the township. And like Glenn mentioned, having basically the top 2 positions go vacant, one right after the other, was a shock at the time to all of us. But I think according to rules and procedures, we handled it the best way for the township. And thank you for the candidates. Rick, nice meeting you. Christina, congratulations. I do hope that you, Rick, would be interested in maybe another position within the township. We have some openings. So appreciate your interest for this. And I do have one more thing at the end of everybody else's comments, if I could, but I'll let you guys go ahead and go.
I was just gonna say, I just want to do a huge thank you. Transitioning from trustee to clerk has not been easy. It's a big role. As you see me struggling up here, like I said, Jeff Alba has done a lot to come in after. He was not required to, did not need to, but he's worked really hard to be able to answer questions. Christina's helped a lot. Sue Collins in the elections has helped us a ton. Erica Bartholomew in elections over there. Kimberly Hinckley has helped the county clerk. So I just am very thankful that people aren't just like, good luck, goodbye. These people care about the township a lot, and they want to see it work in that transition. And while I'm still finding my feet, and I appreciate people's patience in that. I just wanted to say thank you for all those people who've really stepped up and helped us out. So.
Anybody else?
Do you have any comments?
No?
Okay. I'll do the last one. I know can't make any decisions on this, but I just wanted to bring it to the board. Last Thursday, I was approached by the road department about the proposal of putting a traffic circle at 15 Mile Road and Verona Road, roundabout, traffic circle roundabout. Yeah. So, and it was just an information only. It came back from quirks of being sitting right up here. It came back from our legal advisors that we would not be able to add that to this special meeting agenda. So that's what we went with all the way to 5 o'clock this afternoon.
I got a text.
When Wayne gave me a call and said, hey, I just got a reversal of what I'd been told previously. So that we could have put it on the agenda by pertaining to the rules and procedures available to us.
Yeah, and I could give you more context if you
No,
want.
that's fine. But, you know, they said no on Friday, yes today, and
Today said,
and it was after I had sent the road department, Christina Parsons over there, an email stating the reasons that our rules and procedures and legal advice stated that we could not present that and make a decision at the meeting tonight.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 hours or more afterwards. I sent that email to the road department that Wayne came back to me and said, yeah, well, we could.
and just to give context, they were asking for a response by tomorrow morning. So it wasn't like, oh, well, we have a meeting, next week, Monday. It was like, they let us know last week, oh, we want a response by, and it gave us no time to, so, I mean, we gotta figure out how to work better with them to give us more timely information so we can actually make an action on that.
So I guess just specific to that, I've asked Christine, and also Matt Saxton, if they could provide statistics, something other than just, hey, you want a roundabout, that would justify. I mean, I understand the basis was that, the speed on Verona is an issue, and roundabouts generally slowed traffic down. They reduce incidents by 75%, is a general statistic. But the question is, do we have a big problem today? Because I'm assuming putting in a roundabout is not a trivial matter, so hopefully we'll get some answers.
I did not get a reply from my email to Christine prior to the meeting, so I'm not sure where that stands. But I did leave open to them that we could put it as an agenda item for our regular scheduled meeting coming up this next Monday. So that option is out there. Also, I did a ride along with the Sheriff's Deputy Brad Hall last week. That was interesting perspective, and he's a good guy. And I asked him to get an incident report for that intersection over the last couple of years. He provided that to me. I also asked Jay to say, hey, what about your calls? And close glance, they pretty much, I think they both got them from the same place, the reports. And it's from 1 January of 24 through February of this year. A dozen maybe incidents or
Well,
something
you might
like
want to
that.
look at it too, is after they made the light a full-time light.
Yeah,
Because it reduced significantly.
there is that.
So when this all came out, I said, I'm gonna call a bunch of my neighbors, and their big thing is we're gonna have to have another year of construction.
Yeah.
And then, if you got a full-time light there, I mean, yeah, there's trucks that go right through, but even if you had a roundabout there, to And then Christine did admit to me that even though you put the roundabout, they still could be going 85 by the time they got to my house, so. And that's,
Is that hard for tractors to go in a roundabout?
well, that was one of the concerns, because I got one neighbor has trucks, and then I have another neighbor that has experience with roundabouts and how they're designing this one. It's gonna be a one-lane roundabout, which, if a roundabout's done right, and I wish Joanna was here, they can really help, but they have to be wider. And the county's trying to, and
To
I
reduce
really
it.
don't want to be taking land either, but
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, I understand that we couldn't decide, make a decision this evening, but I did want to just follow
we're
up.
just having a casual conversation.
Casual conversation, so.
Okay. Is there any other thing, board members? Not, we're gonna adjourn. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
9:01.
It was nice to meet you, Rick.
Meeting you.
9:01.
Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Well, I think there might be some more opportunities.
Yeah.
I gotta think about it. What's that entail in time?
They all think it's gonna be.
Can you do that virtual if you're not in town, or?
That's going on in the last
And how much prep time does that take? Besides, I mean,
It's probably more to the board, you know, depends. Sometimes there's nothing, sometimes there's more. Alright, have a safe trip back.
Show up to,
I got it on my calendar.
all right,
good,
yeah.
all right, thanks. Well, I'm glad that you got a candidate. That was the real reason. I didn't want you to be embarrassed.
It was actually good, but it's hard. You got three good.
No, I have no hard feelings. As long as you guys got a candidate. It's not like I just lost a fortune because I didn't get the job. It's not worth it. You get a lot of hassle. All right, well, have fun. We'll see you Thursday, right? You be there? Okay. Cool. Okay, well, I probably won't join the club, but I'd like to play golf.
What's that?
I said I probably don't want to join the country.
Yeah, well, I've
but I'd like to
got,
play
I got
golf.
4 free passes.
Oh, yeah.
I can do that.
Whenever you can't find someone, let me know.
I think it's a small meeting.
But I am as an administrator, I am something like Christine. I will say yes until we have the contract in hand and see what it says. Just tell Wayne not to worry about it. It's not a rush. He doesn't have to drop anything.
But we
he's
can
doing.
do that.
That's fine. And you know I'm gonna sign up to this. But I have to do the formality of,
Sure, no, that makes sense, yeah.
and I didn't have any problems with what you guys were changing.
And I just wanted to clarify that one, because to me it was confusing.
And it was, and I asked Dave about that, and he said, you know, Dave, I'm gonna revert back to your zoning ordinance, and may means I can if I want, shall means I have to.